Se você tá vendo esse vídeo no YouTube, não se esqueça de curtir, de se inscrever e deixar um comentário aí pra fortalecer a gente. Demorou? Tamo juntão. Vamos. Se puder e quiser, vamos ver hoje o vídeo do final. Já pode ver, beleza. Aguenta aí. Vou ver o vídeo do Migas primeiro.
In chapter 1131, Shanks is called a coward, just as all the way...
O Morj não é um cara muito respeitado mais depois na comunidade de One Piece porque ele disse que a invasão em Onigashima não ia dar certo e deu, enfim, longa história, mas vamos ver.
In chapter 1131,
Eu vou ter que botar na velocidade normal aqui porque senão não vai ver.
Shanks is called a coward, just as all the way 1130 chapters back, in Shanks' very introduction in chapter 1, Shanks was being called a coward. The irony is that just as so many ignorant characters in One Piece mistake Shanks' pacifism for cowardice, so too do many readers fundamentally misunderstand the message behind this character. With many readers questioning why doesn't Shanks simply go crush Blackbeard at Hachinosu? Why didn't Shanks compete with Kaido and Big Mom for the One Piece? Why does Shanks only take action to stop a rookie like Bartolomeo? Is Shanks just a coward? The fact that some readers genuinely have the same simple-minded understanding of Shanks as literal fodder bandits from Chapter 1 makes Shanks the perfect litmus test for reading comprehension in One Piece. As Luffy himself will tell you, Shanks is not...
Eu não gosto das palavras que esse cara tá utilizando pra diminuir a opinião dos outros, mas tudo bem, vamos ver. Eu quero argumentos. Por enquanto ele tá literalmente belittling, ou seja, diminuindo a opinião dos outros através de por nada, dizendo que interpretação simplória e blá blá blá. Sua imagem está tapando a legenda. Perfeito, obrigado. Está resolvido o problema. Esse cara, ele se acha muito. Eu vou deixar bem claro. Só pelas palavras que ele está usando, eu já sei que ele se acha muito. Mas vamos ver.
Not a coward. It's the exact opposite. Shanks is meant to be Oda's encapsulation of what it means to be strong, and the perfect representation of when one should actually fight. The entire point is that the very same pacifism, humility, and patience that leads to Shanks being mistakenly labeled a coward by ignorant characters is precisely Oda's commentary on the true nature of strength. It is not aggression, machismo, or eagerness to fight that makes one a man. That is the naive, hot-headed fool's way of thinking. Because just as certain characters in One Piece are meant to be the absolute embodiment of certain ideals, chivalry, freedom, drive, and so on, in that same vein, Shanks is Oda's embodiment of the ideal of strength. Strength that so many both in story and out don't understand because it runs contrary to how they believe strength should be used. So let's break down the burden of pacifism that Shanks has to carry, and the truth behind his actions. But first, give the gift that keeps on giving. Manscaped's premium grooming tools are the ultimate stocking stuffer. That's right, holiday season is coming up, and you don't know what to get your dad, your brother, or your friend. Luckily, Manscaped's 20% off sale is happening right now. Don't miss it. Visit manscaped.com to get 20% off site-wide, plus free shipping on your order. And if you're trying to figure out a gift, good news, Manscaped has just rolled out the best electric shaver on the market, the Chairman Pro. See, I understand, sometimes you just don't know what to get when you're getting gifts for guys, so just get them something that's sleek with all the works at a great price. See, the Chairman Pro has a 4-blade foil for a super close shave, and a skin-safe stubble trimmer that makes this a clearly high-tech groomer that's going to automatically seem like an impressive gift for any male relative or friend. And the coolest thing by far to me is the Flex Adjust technology, because I know when I'm shaving, the hardest part for me to get are the sides of the face and my neck, but with the Chairman Pro, the blades and pivoting head actually flex and adjust to the contours of my face and neck. It feels way more comfortable and easy, so I'm getting a cleaner shave a lot faster without worrying about nicking myself. So this is a gift that literally any guy is going to appreciate. So if you're looking for a great gift for a male relative or your friend or your partner this holiday season, the Chairman Pro is your easy answer. Just use promo code Morj for 20% off your offer plus free shipping at manscaped.com, link in the description below. So that aside, to begin with the...
Esse começa não dá pra tu, Roberto. Careca e sem barba. Porra, eu tenho bastante barba até, porque eu não deixo crescer, mas eu tenho bastante.
The most notable and defining trait of Shanks is that despite showing up in the story repeatedly across 1100 chapters of One Piece and squaring off against countless characters, Shanks has never, ever raised his sword except to defend. There's not one single instance in the entirety of the story where Shanks has tried to instigate a fight. It has always only been a necessity of defense. Shanks only moved against Kaido to stop Kaido from attacking Whitebeard. Shanks only blocked Akainu to stop Akainu from attacking Kobe. Shanks only raised his sword to stop the Marines and the Blackbeard pirates from continuing to cause more unnecessary deaths. Shanks only raised his sword and threatened Green Bull to stop Green Bull from attacking Wano and the Straw Hat Pirates. Shanks only crushed Kid after he saw that Kid was going to kill Shanks' subordinates. Lots of readers complain about how Shanks doesn't fight, but the reality is Shanks has stepped up over and over, countless times throughout the story, ready to fight. This is a long list of conflicts against powerful enemies, but the defining rule that Oda keeps hammering in over and over again with this character is that each and every time Shanks prepares to fight, it is only specifically to defend. This is the absolute constant that defines the character. Defense, never offense. Even Shanks splitting the sky with Whitebeard only occurred after Whitebeard instigated first, throwing the sake at Shanks and making it clear that their friendly conversation was over. Similarly, Shanks doesn't try to start a fight with Mihawk, he only asks if Mihawk is here to start a fight with him. So when readers ask, why is it that Shanks doesn't just go out and crush Blackbeard at Hachinosu, if Shanks is so concerned about Blackbeard and is always keeping tabs on him? Why does Shanks go out and crush rookies like Bartolomeo instead? Well, the answer to these questions is made simple and clear from Shanks' entire history in the story. Shanks does not fear Blackbeard. Shanks welcomes a fight with Blackbeard, but only if Blackbeard himself chooses to challenge him. With Bartolomeo, it's the reverse. Even if Shanks did not want to hurt a rookie like him, the reality is that what Bartolomeo did endangered Shanks' subordinates. And so crushing Bartolomeo was necessary in order to protect Shanks.
Não, isso daqui não foi necessário. Isso daqui foi completamente desnecessário. Não. Isso aqui não era necessário. Não era. Você sabe o porquê do Rei dos Mares não ser cartunesco no anime? Não sei, Jota. Acho que foi só uma decisão da Toei. Vamos ver se no remake eles vão mudar um pouco.
Shanks' subordinates and prevent further harm from coming to them. And so the message behind Shanks' extreme embodiment of pacifism is that the truly strong do not wield their strength to attack. The truly strong only use their strength to protect and defend. The weak are the ones that fail to understand this, who mistake restraint and pacifism for weakness and cowardice because they believe that their willingness to fight is what makes them strong. Think about how Oda beautifully depicted this message in two direct parallel scenes. Shanks' scene in Chapter 1 of One Piece and Shanks' scene in Elbaf. What do these two scenes illustrate? In both, we open up with a young, hot-headed kid in a bar who has a naive view of what it means to be brave and strong. The kid believes eagerness to fight is what defines strength. Enter a disruptive, ignorant, violent intruder, eager to battle, brandishing their strength, ready to cause a fight. However, Shanks makes it clear that he is averse to violence, he does not want to fight, he does not want to cause a conflict, not because he is weak, but because he is strong. And then finally, the violent intruder does the one thing that will actually force a man like Shanks, the true representative.
Mas vale sempre lembrar, só porque o Shanks toma essa decisão de ser pacifista não significa que elas sejam decisões boas. Porque todas as vezes que o Shanks tomou uma decisão pacifista, ela terminou causando uma coisa pior. Ele perdeu o braço, o Luffy ter sido sequestrado, a gente não sabe o que vai acontecer com o Bartolomeu, o lance lá contra o Barba Branca, que inevitavelmente terminou na morte do Ace, o Bug ter comido a Akuma no Mi. Todas as vezes que o Shanks age, aparentemente é uma coisa boa, mas sempre tem um desfecho ruim. Sempre. Podem ver.
Of strength to fight, which is hurt Shanks' friends.
Eu entendo o que ele tá dizendo, mas não tá me convencendo.
Does the sleeping giant wake and bring the hammer down. The scenes are direct parallels of one another for a reason. It is a sharp reminder of the message behind Shanks from both the start of the story to the final saga. Nothing has changed. It is not the battle-hungry, hot-headed idiot who is strong. It is the one who is holding himself back the most that is the strongest.
Tudo bem, mas você não sabe qual o motivo que ele tem pra fazer isso. Você tá assumindo, esse cara tá assumindo que o Shanks faz isso porque ele é benevolente ou porque, sei lá, ele é um personagem muito foda ou qualquer coisa do tipo. Você não tem informações suficientes pra estar afirmando isso. Mas vamos ver como ele vai terminar.
To be calm, unmoved, and secure enough to exercise restraint, only acting when necessary, that is the true mark of a strong warrior. And at the end of the day, we've seen so many of these violent hotheads throughout the story, but there is no difference between any of them. Higuma, Bellamy, Kid, Loki, they are all evolutions of the same concept. Even Kaido, none of them really understand what true strength looks like, which is why they will forever fall short of Oda's true strongest characters in the story, as that is the entire thematic point. And what's interesting is that because Shanks moves and acts so differently from the way all these other aggressive warriors and pirates in One Piece move, Shanks is often mislabeled a coward. Just as Higuma couldn't understand Shanks' pacifism and called him a coward, just as Loki, a proud and belligerent warmongering giant of Elbaf, calls Shanks a coward, in fact, it's the opposite. The path that Shanks has chosen is in fact the path of the strongest, and the beautiful irony is that these more violent figures will never comprehend and will therefore never be able to attain it, precisely because they mistake it for weakness. And the gap between the potential of those who walk the path of belligerent violence and the potential of those who are strong enough to exercise restraint was illustrated most vividly, of course, with the conflict between Luffy and Bellamy, which is to this day the greatest representation of Luffy having learned from Shanks' teachings, which is also the very reason...
Power Scaling não consegue conceber a cena do Luffy e do Bellamy, não consegue conceber aquilo.
That Luffy's ceiling is so much higher than all these barking hyenas, be that a Bellamy or even supposed rivals like Kid, who simply don't get what it means to be truly strong. This is also why Shanks' strength is specifically defined by Haki. While some One Piece characters have devil fruits or have been born gifted with extraordinarily strong bodies, Haki is purely the strength of one's spirit, which is why it was a very deliberate choice by Oda to make Shanks a completely normal human with a normal body and no devil fruit, who simply has absurdly powerful Haki. From Whitebeard himself acknowledging the power of Shanks' Haki, to Shanks terrifying an admiral from Haki alone, to Oda raising the question of whether Shanks' Haki is equal to Joy Boy's himself, Shanks is the most highlighted Haki user in the story today. And as we know, above all other factors, Haki is the single greatest signifier of strength in the One Piece.
Isso daqui os fãs do Mihawk não falam, porque o Mihawk até agora não foi confirmado com o Haki do Rei. Tá? Ele provavelmente vai ser no futuro? Provavelmente. Mas por enquanto, ele não tem. E se ele não tem, ele não é mais forte que o Shanks. Na minha opinião.
World. This is not about power scaling, it's symbolism. It's a representation of the fact that it takes an extraordinarily strong spirit to walk the path that Shanks walks. The fact that at the...
Por que será que o Shanks nunca fez nada em relação ao Wano? Ele é só uma nação aliada ao Roger e ele conseguiu impedir o Kaido de ir pra Marineford. Talvez tivesse capacidade de enfrentá-lo. Não sei. Pelo mesmo motivo que o Barba Branca também nunca fez nada, porque ele não sabia o que estava acontecendo? Não sei dizer.
At the end of the day, the least violent pirate is the one who has the strongest spirit, is Oda's thematic message on what it means to be truly strong and what the moral ideal of strength should look like. Interestingly, Shanks' crew also represents this theme, but you can get my extended thoughts on that on my weekly podcast that just dropped by becoming a member or by supporting me on Patreon, link in the description below. But this leads to the common criticism of Shanks. While Shanks represents the ideal of pacifism, one might argue that Shanks represents this philosophy of only fighting in defense or in order to protect to an illogical extreme, to the detriment of the world. After all, isn't it possible that Shanks allowing Blackbeard to grow stronger and stronger, and not crushing Blackbeard earlier, may become a problem one day if Blackbeard becomes too strong? Couldn't Shanks' pacifism...
Foi exatamente o que a gente falou. As decisões do Shanks podem parecer pacifistas no começo, mas elas causam problemas muito maiores do que se ele tivesse agido antes, né?
ultimately lead to more pain and violence down the line. And that's entirely possible. Logically, not attacking Blackbeard isn't a good choice. However, One Piece is largely not a story about logic. One Piece is a romanticized depiction of moral ideals, which is why characters often remain committed to certain ideals to an exaggerated and arguably illogical degree, as what this commitment to the ideal symbolizes is more important than the real-world logic. For instance, does it make any sense to refuse to step back even with a knife through your heart just for the sake of staying true to your ambition? No, and logically this is a stupid choice because if Zoro were up against any opponent slightly less sympathetic than Mihawk, he would have died for nothing here. But this is One Piece, and the symbolism of Zoro's commitment to a grand ideal here is what matters more than anything, which is why Zoro's illogical commitment to his ideal is portrayed positively. It's the same reason that Sanji's extreme and illogical chivalry is always upheld as a positive and praiseworthy character trait no matter how logistically inconvenient it may be and the troubles that it may cause. It's why Bellemere choosing to die rather than lying about having a family will always be portrayed as the right choice, because the ideal matters above the logic. And that's why Shanks' choice to never start a fight and to only ever protect and defend is meant to be a noble ideal that should never be compromised, even if taking the initiative to crush a known growing threat would logically be the tactical option. It's not about the logic or potential negative consequences, it's about the message. But first, if you're excited for Elbaf, you can get the first Elbaf travel poster ever made for your walls today. This beautiful work of art comes in both day and night versions, and is made with archival ink printed on matte paper hand cut by the artist himself. And that's not all. This month we are also releasing the Skypiea and Zoe travel posters so that you can continue building your collection of all the islands of One Piece. You can even get all 3 of these beautiful posters together along with the exclusive Chandra poster for a major discount bundle, which is 50% off all 4 posters. You can also still get the deluxe package if you want to appear on my streams, and in that case you'll get all 5 posters as well. So start building your collection today with Elbaf, Skypiea, Zoe, and Chandra. Just hit the link in the description below. And so is Shanks a coward? We've already seen that every single challenge that has come Shanks' way, from the world's strongest swordsman, to the world's strongest man, to the world's strongest creature, to the elite of the Marines, to the new generation's mightiest up-and-comers, Shanks fears no one. He is happy to take on anyone. He has straight up offered to take on everyone, all at the same time. But he will only ever do so in defense. The point is not that Shanks is a coward, the point is that this is how true strength should be used. And the fact that only hot-headed fools misunderstand such a mighty warrior's restraint as cowardice is Oda's indictment of stereotypical views on strength. And in many ways, the character goes even beyond that, in that Shanks as a whole is an indictment on the stereotypical views on what it means to be a man in general. This character exists to challenge the notions of toughness by preaching that it is okay to be soft-hearted, it is okay to shed tears in defeat. That does not make one weak either. Considering that over and over again, Oda has reiterated that One Piece is a story geared towards boys first and foremost, Shanks is probably the single healthiest depiction of masculinity in Shonen Jump, period. Which is why introducing him in Chapter 1 as the ideal for the young boy Luffy to grow and aspire towards was such a brilliant decision. And interestingly, Oda has stated in interviews that readers will know that One Piece has entered its final saga when Shanks begins to appear more frequently, suggesting that this character is meant to represent a sort of beginning and end to Luffy's growth.
Concordo, mas isso não significa que é um fim bom. Você tá... Tipo... Vamos terminar o vídeo primeiro, eu vou comentar.
Man and the thematic messaging around strength in the story. So looking at the setting of Elbaf, an island of belligerent warmongers, we can look forward to seeing how Shanks' philosophies run counter to theirs, as well as whether Luffy has truly become strong enough to live up to the ideal that Shanks presented him with all the way back in Chapter 1. So let me know in the comments below how you believe Shanks will thematically play into the ideas of Elbaf, and if you enjoyed this video, then definitely like and subscribe. And if you want to hear a breakdown of how Shanks' crew represents similar themes, you can get my extended thoughts on that on my weekly podcast that just dropped by becoming a member or by supporting me on Patreon. Link in the description below.
Beleza, esse foi o vídeo do Mr. Morj, né? Shanks e o peso da paz. Vou dar um like, mas eu vou dar meus comentários aqui. O Morj, ele... Agora eu acredito que ele seja um rato. O que eu tô falando é o seguinte, toda a construção desse vídeo realmente se baseou em fatos, tá? Nas decisões que o Shanks tomou ao longo de toda a obra, porque ele realmente é um pacifista. Ele não é o cara que ataca primeiro, ele simplesmente se defende. Só que, todas as vezes, ao mesmo tempo que o Shanks fez isso, as consequências das ações deles foram piores do que a encomenda. Por que eu digo isso? Porque se ele tivesse enfrentado os bandidos lá os bandidos da montanha, o Higuma e o bando dele, nada daquilo teria acontecido. O Higuma não teria morrido, por exemplo, o Luffy não teria sido sequestrado, não teria acontecido nada. Inclusive, muito provavelmente, o Luffy não teria comido a Gomu Gomu no Mi. Ponto 1. Ponto 2. Em relação ao Barba Branca. Se ele tivesse enfrentado o Barba Branca e derrotado o Barba Branca, ou ido atrás do Barba Negra e dado um pau nele, porque a gente imagina que ele fosse forte bastante para isso, a Guerra dos Melhores não teria acontecido e o Ace não teria morrido. Isso é muito importante, porque o Ace não é um pirata qualquer. O Ace é filho do Gold Roger e ele estava no bando do Gold Roger. Então a gente imagina que ele viu o Roger, tinha o Roger em alta conta, usava o chapéu dele, usou o mesmo golpe dele, só que ele nada fez para impedir ativamente a morte do filho do Roger. O Ace morreu por causa do Ace. O Ace morreu por causa do Shanks. Se o Shanks tivesse ido diretamente atrás do Barba Negra e dado um pau nele, nada disso teria acontecido. Ou não é? Ou não é? O Shanks, ele ativamente se meteu em Wano para que o Touro Verde não fizesse alguma coisa lá. O quê? Provavelmente o Poneglyph. Provavelmente o Poneglyph. Então, o que eu tô falando é isso que eu tô falando. Eu não tô dizendo que o Shanks é fraco, eu não tô dizendo nada disso. O que eu tô falando é o seguinte, as decisões pacifistas dele terminam gerando guerras ainda maiores. Literalmente uma guerra, por sinal. Literalmente. É difícil de acreditar que ele não tinha poder para derrotar o Barba Negra pelo time skip. E não importa se ele tinha ou não. O que importa é que ele ativamente decidiu não fazer isso. É isso que importa. Mas ele explicou isso como o romantismo usado na obra sobre os ideais do personagem. Na moral, ele tá certo, não tem como refutar, não tem lógica, é romantismo puro. Cara, pode até ter romantismo puro. Se fosse romantismo puro, ele seria apenas um personagem passivo. Por que ele quer o One Piece então e por que ele usou o termo roubar? Porque roubar não é uma atitude passiva, é uma atitude ativa. Você precisa esperar passivamente que alguém tenha algum objeto ou a coisa para que depois você vai roubar. E ele falou roubar. Eu assino embaixo disso. Tem alguma coisa errada nisso, Milgras. E tipo, eu entendo o que ele quer passar aqui, eu entendo que ele seja fã do Shanks e você também acima de qualquer coisa, pode ter certeza que eu entendo isso. Mas vocês não têm informações suficientes para afirmar que o Shanks faz isso simplesmente porque ele é o defensor da moral e dos bons costumes em One Piece. Isso é um erro crasso, achar que os personagens de One Piece não têm uma moral cinzenta. Eu prefiro esperar. Porque da mesma forma que nós temos argumentos muito bons, como alguns do que ele usou aqui no vídeo para defender o Shanks, nós temos vários que são ruins também. Eu não sei. Aqui me pareceu muito mais que ele defende o Shanks do que ele ataca. Mesma história do Exército Revolucionário, concordo. Mesma história do Exército Revolucionário. E outra coisa, se o Shanks ele só age passivamente, por que ele foi falar com o governo mundial? O Morj não falou isso aqui. Por que ele foi falar com o governo mundial? O que ele foi falar? Não sei. Entendeu? No primeiro capítulo eles falam que não são santos e matam bandido. Tudo bem. Eles só matam bandido porque sequestrou o Luffy. Poderiam ter evitado que o Luffy fosse sequestrado. Foi o Shanks, pô. É possível que seja o Shanks também. Possível. A ver.